I'm going to be completely honest with you. Today's video is one that I really don't look forward to doing, not because I don't have a good reason to be here doing it, not because I don't like you guys, not because I don't like doing videos on YouTube, but because today's subject matter is one of those subject matters that is just very difficult. And so it's one that I want to tackle, but I want to get it done early in this channel's journey because it is so difficult. My husband has been gone for a little over 4 months now. And although I have shared this story with some people, it's been a very few times that I've actually had to tell the story of the day that everything went completely to hell. And so, first and foremost, thank you for supporting the channel. Then I want to say, welcome back to the channel. This is only our second video, and I have already seen and received an outpouring of support just for starting this channel and just for having, I guess, the courage to come on here and talk about what I've been through already and what I'm going through as I go through it. Of course, I didn't start this channel from day one, but at only a few months in, I thought that it was really important that I begin to document what is happening. And so today we're going to talk about what was, I'm not going to say the hardest day of my life or the worst day of my life, but it was definitely the start on the path to the worst day of my life or the worst time period of my life. So don't forget to like the video and let's talk in the comments after you hear everything that I'm going to talk about today. I'm Rochelle Hazel, and I am determined to be stronger than grief. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and settle in as I tell you about the day that everything changed. It was Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, and the day was going along as a regular day. There was nothing special that was happening. I made my husband breakfast as I did every morning. He was on some calls that afternoon. He was actually in a meeting concerning a very large deal. And he was being his regular self. He was laughing. He was loud. He was being his entertaining self as he always was. As for me, I was being a domestic in that particular time frame, and I was going to go get my nails done that day, and I asked him if he wanted to go with me to get a pedicure, and he was like, no, not today, I'll go next time. I was like, are you sure, babe? Last time you said you wanted to go back. He's like, no, 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 I still have a couple more calls that I have to do, so you go ahead, have fun, enjoy, relax, all of those things. He said, I have one more Zoom that I have to do. And then once I finish these last couple of things, I'll be done for the day. We'll have the evening to ourselves and we can do whatever you want to do. So I said, okay, sounds great. I'm going to go run, get my nails done. I'll be back and we'll have the rest of the evening. And so I went, I changed my clothes, gathered my things, and I began to walk to the door. And I was like, okay, babe, I'm gone. I'll see you in a little while. He walked me to the door. He kissed me goodbye. We said we loved each other. I went and got in the car, pulled off. Before I got to the corner, he called me and he, was asking me a couple of questions. We got off the phone. A couple of minutes later, he called me back. I'm like, babe, what do you want? And so he had some more questions for me. My nail shop is only 15 minutes from home. By the time I got to the nail shop and I parked, he was calling me again. And I was like, why in the world is he calling me? He's supposed to be on this other call. What's going on? When I answered the phone, I was like, hey, babe. And he said, you have to come home. And I could hear the way that I'm saying it is not the way that he said it. I could hear the distress in his voice. And I said, what's wrong? And he said, I don't feel well. I said, call 911. I'm on my way. In order for me to say call 911, like I could really hear the distress in his voice. And I knew that it was something serious. So that is why I told him to do that. Now, I got off the phone with him so that hopefully he could call 911. But then I called my son Khalil and I said, I need you to go downstairs and I need you to check on dad. And I told him also call 911. He came down. As I was driving, I picked up the phone. I said, let me call my other son and see if he'll answer the phone. So I called him, and surprisingly, he did answer the phone. Now, the reason that that's such a surprise is because of the time of day. And he works very late, sometimes doesn't get home until really, really early in the morning. So I expected that he was still going to be asleep, but he did answer the phone. And I told him, I need you to go downstairs and check on dad. Meanwhile, I'm making my way back home for the other 15 minutes. And it seems like it's taking forever. It seems like, every light that could turn red turned red. Every car that could get in front of me got in front of me, because you know how it is when you are in distress and something is happening. It seems like time just slows down. Meanwhile, my son's girlfriend, who was also at the house, she called me on FaceTime and she was just kind of telling me what was going on. And she said, he's not doing well. He's kind of slumped over on the couch. She said, he's saying, help me. She said, but he's holding my hand. I'm holding his hand and he's still kind of alert, but not that alert. And I'm like, okay, I said, I could hear the kind of the chaos and commotion in the background. One son on the phone with 911, the other son trying to keep him awake. In my heart and in my being, I was like, Rochelle, you just have to stay calm for everybody. And I just told her, just do your best to keep everybody calm. And I was saying, guys, it's going to be fine. We're going to handle this. The ambulance is coming. It's going to be fine. It's so funny because as I am speaking, I'm taking pauses, even though when I edit this, I'm going to splice it together as if I weren't taking pauses, but my heart is just beating so fast, just kind of reliving and having to talk about and remember. I'm trying to speak very calmly so that I don't put myself back into the emotion of that day. But it's funny because the body knows and you can't hide from the body. And so my being knows what I'm talking about, what I'm thinking about, what I'm feeling. And my heart is responding and my breathing is responding. And so I just wanted to kind of express what I'm going through physically as I speak about and remember about this day, because this is not something that I sit and think about all the time. Otherwise, it would probably send me crazy. So anyway, she said, it seems like he's having some kind of allergic reaction. She said it seems like his tongue is swelling and his lips might be swelling. She said, and now he's not responding. It seems like he's like lost consciousness. So I'm like, okay, just try to keep everybody calm. And I could hear my youngest son just yelling, Dad, wake up, wake up. And I could hear him hitting him even though I wasn't seeing it, I could hear him hitting him, Dad. I'm hearing my other son answer the questions on the phone. And you guys know, if you've never had to call 911, you've probably seen it on movies or on shows where you're on the phone with them and they're asking you a bunch of questions. And it seems like they're asking you the questions and they're prolonging getting the ambulance to your house. But what most people don't realize is they've already dispatched the ambulance. They are just keeping you on the line to, number one, keep you calm. Number two, see what kind of help maybe you can administer before the ambulance gets there. And number three, get more information that they can pass on to the emergency workers that you may not be thinking to tell them. So they're kind of continuing to talk to you as a distraction, even though they've already dispatched. So just remember that if you ever have to call 911, that they're not waiting until you answer all their questions to send help. They're trying to continue to get information from you. And so that's what was going on. By the time I got back to the house, 15 minutes later, from the time I got the call from him, the ambulance was already here. They were already actually bringing him out on the stretcher and loading him into the ambulance. And I took a look. I could see that he was still breathing. And I just said to them, where are you taking him? What's the name of the hospital? Should I ride in there with you or should I drive? And they told me to drive separate. They said, follow us. We're going to this hospital. Don't run any lights. We will run lights, but don't you run lights. So I ran into the house. I had to stop and speak with one of the emergency workers to just give them, they had a couple questions for me. I ran in, I got his wallet, I got his phone, ran right back out, drove to the hospital. I'm going to skip, some of like what happened once we got there and everything, but they had us in a family room while we waited for the doctors to come speak to us. And honestly, although I was feeling a lot of anxiety just because of the situation that we were in, I was not thinking that there was nothing for me to think that he was not going to come home with us within a day, 2 days, 3 days max. I was nervous, but yet I was confident and I was hopeful. Just as a bit of information, Ahmed was not sick. There was nothing, there was no indication that anything like this was going to happen. There was no indication that he was going to pass. He was not ill. He was not complaining about anything. Even that day, he was his regular jovial self. 15 minutes prior to that call, like I said, he walked me to the door. He kissed me. He told me he loved me. He called me multiple times. Like there was nothing leading up to this point or even on the day of that gave me or us any indication that that day was going to be the last of anything. So although I was nervous, I was not fearful. And so about 40 minutes after we got there, a couple doctors came in and they talked to us. They were asking us what happened that day and just kind of getting, a report from us having been with him before he got to the hospital. They started saying things that didn't make sense to me. They didn't compute to me. They didn't compute to us. I'm like, what are you saying? What are you saying? They're like, he has bleeding in his brain. And I'm saying to myself, wait, what does that have to do with an allergic reaction? Like, how does an allergic reaction turn to bleeding in his brain? I'm like, okay, so what do we need to do? And there was a surgeon there in the room, and he's like, if there was anything that I could do, I would already have him in the operating room and be operating on him. But I can't, because if I do, where the bleeding is, it would kill him immediately. It's in his brainstem. And I'm like, okay, so what do we do then? If you can't operate, like, well, what do we need to do? What's the solution to this problem? This sounds like a problem that can be solved. Then they started talking about potentially making hard decisions, and does he have a DNR in place? And I'm like, wait. I know what DNR means, but are you telling me that my husband is not going to make it? And their eyes are kind of darting around, and the one is standing next to the door, and it's just like a weird vibe. And finally, I'm like, I need you to say the words so that we understand. And I knew that it wasn't just me, because the whole room was just silent and listening and trying to understand what was being said. And then they finally told us that there was absolutely nothing that they could do for him. And once we understood that, that is when the emotion, the verbal, audible emotion came out in that room that we were in. And so again, they wanted me to make decisions in that moment that I refused to make. I'm like, you want me to make decisions like, is my husband alive right now? Is he breathing right now? Like, what are you asking of me? They're like, no, he's alive. I'm like, so then what are we talking about? Take me to him. And so over the course of the next few days, he was in the hospital. He was in, the ICU. We began to go through the process. There were times when it was hopeful, and there were times when they had to bring me back down to earth. Not to go into all of the details of our hospital stay, but I will tell you that the day that he kissed me and told me that he loved me was the last time that I saw him awake. He never regained consciousness. And on Monday, April the 7th, he passed away. I think that was the worst day of my life up to that point. See, what happened on that Thursday, it wasn't because I was still extremely hopeful. I still had thoughts of, God is a miracle worker and he can heal him and anything could still happen. It's not what they say, it's what God says. Right. And I knew that and I know that and I understood that. And so there was still a part of me that had hope up to a certain point. And we were blessed to have those days to spend with him, to talk to him, to help him through his process, through his journey, usher him to the other side, because we spent all of our time there with him over those few days. And we were there to hold his hand as when he passed. And, that was the blessing that we got a few days to kind of come to grips with the inevitable, that we got to pray with him. We got to pray for him. I believe that he could hear us when we talked. I believed that he could feel us when we touched him. One of the things that he would do for me every night is we would sit on the couch and watch a show before bed, and he would massage my feet every single night, like clockwork. And so when he was in the hospital, I made sure, I brought my body butter in, and, I would every day that he was there, I massaged his feet for him. And being able to serve him in his final couple of days like that was a blessing. And being able to pray for him as he moved from this life to the next, that was a blessing. And being able to honor him in every way possible through those few days, and even after that, just being able to honor him in the way that only I could and the way that only we could was a blessing. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's worse to know someone is going to pass and then walk with them through their journey until they go, or if it's worse to lose someone suddenly when you had no clue that you were going to lose them. Like, who am I to say what's worse? Who am I to say that mine is worse than yours or yours is worse than mine? I don't know, because I have not had all experiences and I've only lost my husband one time. But it was not a situation that I would wish on anyone. It was not an experience that I ever wanted to have. It was not an experience that I ever expected to have. But it was a blessing that we were able to do it the way that we did it, meaning just be there together as a family with ultimate love, respect, adoration for him, for one another. I don't know if I could have asked for anything better if it had to happen. I'm always looking for the great part of anything, right? What is the best thing that we could have asked for? And I don't know, maybe that was maybe that was it. Throughout this process, there have been a lot of people that have been trying to kind of get their hands on me. I've gotten so many calls and so many people just wanting to see me or talk to me or hear from me or kind of get their hands on me. And I have been protecting myself, my peace, my sanity from a lot of that. But there were a lot of people that cared about him greatly, just as he cared about so many people greatly. And some of you all have not gotten the story as to how he passed or what happened or any of those things. So many people have wanted to know, was he sick? Were you all expecting it? Did you know anything was coming? Did he have something that, was that you knew was going to take him out? Hopefully this video gives those people a chance to know what happened. He passed from a brain hemorrhage. It was considered a natural death. It was fairly quick. Once he lost consciousness, he never woke back up. It was completely unexpected. It was not known or not anticipated that anything like that was going to happen. And so that's it. That's the explanation. That's the story behind how I lost my husband. I know that a lot of you that are watching, that are tuned into this channel, that are subscribed to this channel, whether you're here because this is helpful to you or whether you're here because you're here supporting me, because you know me personally. I know that a lot of you have lost people that are close to you, and I would love to hear your story. I would love to hear what you've experienced. I would love to hear what you want to share. Let's talk about it in the comments. I truly appreciate you all for being here with me and for going on this journey with me. It's so many ups and downs, so many emotions, so amazing and wonderful and terrible and beautiful and ugly all at the same time, that the best thing I can do is just keep showing up and just keep sharing and just keep being grateful for what is and what has been and what will be. So once again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. I hope that this video has been helpful to you. Maybe this will give you the courage to speak about what has happened in your life with your loved one. Maybe this will give you a chance to speak on it and receive the therapeutic benefits of getting it out, and to know that there's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with feeling all of your emotions. And sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to ask for support. That's something that I'm learning. Thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.